Hello and welcome to This Day with BJ Arnett, and I'm BJ. I got tickled right there, you guys, because I have been super blessed to interview some wonderful people and have a great career in film and media. But sometimes you just know that you have met a jewel. And my next guest is just that. Her name is Michelle Marshall. And Michelle and I met several years ago because of a project that she was working on. And she simply wanted to do the right thing for some deserving students for Clark Atlanta University, where I'm a professor and the chair of the Art and Fashion Department. This woman looked into what I could say the back door of what we do at Clark Atlanta University to inspire students and said, I can help. I want you to meet with all enthusiasm for someone who loves students, Michelle Marshall. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You are the CEO of Purpose Well, and I just want to start by saying I love the name, I love the vision, and I'm so excited to watch you launch something that has been inside of you for so long. Talk to us about the why this is important.
Well, as you stated, Purpose Well has been inside of me. So as I started building out the business, everything just fell into place because I've been planning it in my head for the past almost 5 years. The purpose of Purpose Well was to build initiatives, experiences, and solutions to close the gaps between brands and underrepresented communities. And that stems from my passion to ensure that everybody has the opportunity to win and everyone has the resources that they need to be the best versions of themselves. Oftentimes working in these very cool industries I've worked in, behind the scenes, the representation wasn't quite there. So my goal and my purpose is to ensure that everyone has access and awareness of these opportunities.
Your background is quite extensive. And I'm just gonna go there, y'all. Go on her social media. Let me tell you what you're gonna see. Everybody. You know, here's what amazes me. You are everywhere. I'm always wondering, how did you get over there and you were just over here? I don't think you sleep. But you are a great connector of industry professionals in all things, in retail, in fashion, in art world. There isn't an influencer that Michelle Marshall doesn't know. Why is that important in the journey? To know the names, to know the faces, and to be connected?
Well, I wasn't being intentional about that. I will say it was all in alignment with what God had planned for me. He knew what he wanted to build and what I want to build for my future. So I get random invites to events and I don't say no. I get random invitations to meet with certain people, and I always make sure that I show up. And not only do I show up and support people. And I don't support them with an agenda of what can they do for me, because I'm genuinely interested in meeting those people and building with those people who are trying to drive impact and trying to leave the community a better place for the next generation.
You said something extremely important, which connects with what God himself through his son Jesus Christ is doing inside of this woman. You said, I don't come with an agenda.
No.
So you come to serve, because there's only the two. So why is that important, and where in the world did that come from? How did that get implanted into you?
Well, I remember being in my 20s. I wasn't selfish, but I used to watch my mother. My mother selfishly gives. Like, she automatically goes to, how can I help this person who in need? And I used to pray to God that he would give me a giving heart like my mother, a naturally giving heart. And so I know it stems from my mother and just how she raised us to make sure that we're looking out for others. She was very, and she still is very passionate about senior citizens, about children. So I wanted to just continue that spirit and that energy on and ensuring that I was doing my part as well.
There's a great connection between what you were raised to understand and your service in the community. So you've been a corporate exec for many, many years, and then your service kind of outshined your corporate. And I don't even know how to explain that, but upon meeting you, it wasn't, oh, this is a VP. It was, this woman really wants to help these young people. The question comes, not just why is it important, but the how-tos, the 1, 2, and 3 of this is a true mission field that needs to be filled.
For sure. So in terms of just my background, it all naturally came together because I made up my mind a long time ago. I don't want to just be somewhere in a cubicle trying to meet someone's bottom line. When I'm showing up and getting up in the morning, I want to make sure that I'm doing the things that really fills my cup. In terms of just how all of that aligned and came together, when I started working with these various brands, I was always looking for solutions and looking for those untapped communities in terms of what opportunities we had to better connect with certain audiences. In terms of, and my apologies, I'm going blank if you can expand more on the question.
So, you know, it's the how-tos that you have amazed us with, and in the academic realm, we don't meet VPs that have such a heart. I think one of the amazing things that I've seen as chair of the art and fashion department at Clark is like all of these wonderful VPs that have a heart for God have come to our department. And I'm like, wait, you know, God is the greatest orchestrator ever. But I know he did something inside of you that allowed that to happen, that said, this is important and this is how I'm going to address it. And you and let me say to you, the first thing that you just said, and when I wake up in the morning, you got to know what your purpose is.
You do.
As you look at your purpose, is it at this point in your life more defined than it's ever been?
So first of all, I want to say I never was a VP, but I was definitely an executive. When I wake up in the morning, I wake up naturally. I don't set my alarm because I'm waking up because I know I have a duty. And the reason these things came together is I was just doing the things that I love and that brought me joy. Oftentimes, when I'm traveling across the country, there's so many people with eyes on me, and it kind of makes me nervous. And I'm like, how do you start watching me? I've had young women chase me down at conferences and just like thank me for the work, and that I'm not doing anything special. I'm just doing the work I'm here to do and that I'm passionate about. But whatever I was doing it with heart. I was doing it in a way where I was determined to make sure that we are really creating those pathways for all to have access to these opportunities. So even though I don't think it's special, I'm not doing anything special.
It really is special.
You said it's special.
No.
A lot of people always thank me, people that I admire, and thank me for how I've been able to implement the work. So the reason these things all came together is because I know what my goal is to ensure that our students know more about the various pathways that they don't know about. I know when I was a young girl growing up, I love watching the Style Network, but I was like, I'm not moving to New York. I'm not moving to LA or Paris. My sister ended up going to a fashion and art design school in Atlanta for a little while, and she was very passionate about the field. But I didn't know about all the opportunities. And even when I used to work, walk in the hallways of my former employer, I would just look in amazement, like, when did I start working here? Like, I know I was going down this pathway and was passionate about diversity work and passionate about the career that I've built, but I didn't imagine being in these walls and working in the space of fashion and sports.
And the connection between fashion and sport, most people don't even think about. Our generation, today's generation, think about it all the time. They get it. They understand how these two things work together. Now that you've mentioned that, talk a little bit about how those two things work together, fashion and sport.
It's fashion, sport, music, celebrity, it all moves to culture. Those are important a lot. It defines a lot of what we do and who we're influenced by, the trends. And you know, a lot of the trends are set globally by communities of color. So all those things go hand in hand, and that's what influenced us. I think about even when I was working at my former employer, Puma, I was introduced to Puma through hip hop.
Yes, I can totally agree to that. Yes,
break dancing and all the things. So culture has a huge influence on how we live our lives and the trends and the things that we like. I think of the scene from The Devil Wears Prada, where the young lady is like saying, "Oh, it's just blue. It's multiple colors of blues," and the character Miranda breaks down how all the things happened in that room, and those decision makers came together, and she, whether she knew it or not, was a part of the fashion ecosystem.
Yes, and making sure people understand their part. I think that is what Purpose Well really is honing in on. Understanding your part, understanding your lane in this big system. Social media is driving all kinds of things right now, and all kinds of cultural shifts and changes and movements. Some great and some not so great. And we have to have an understanding of how to embrace what is great and how to move the things that are not great to the side. In that cultural movement, we are seeing young people grab a hold of a fleeting stardom, if you will, through social media. How do we help them? And I don't want to put it on just young people, but it's across the board. How do we get people to understand that there has to be more to the core of you than the flight of you through social media?
Well, social media, everyone's their own best publicist. So you're not seeing the behind the scenes and all the reality of the things that's happening. I tell a lot of mentees, and I tell a lot of young audiences when I'm sitting on panels, that you should not be comparing yourself to people like me, because social media wasn't really a thing when I was coming up. And so you didn't see my blood, sweat, and tears.
Thank you.
And I have the blood and sweat and tears and the stories of coming up and getting to where, because for me, my career didn't really hit till later in the in life, and I really started to see the avenue where I can implement change and really lean into my purpose. You know,
one of the areas that we see on social media that's so important is the development of your story and how your story, the ones that get the best results, move from an authentic place. And I think that that is one of the things that I know that Purpose Well, not just with students, but with new entrepreneurs, is going to be focusing on. So I get the pleasure of talking to this lady again, and we're going to delve into how that's going to happen. What are the layers that you need to have in order to get into your industry, stand in your faith position, not cower when you see someone has been all over social media? If I hear that from one more student and even one more new entrepreneur, that they are comparing themselves, and it's not about the comparisons, it's about the authentic you that God has placed to do something great. So this is, I'm super excited about where we're headed here. Purpose Well began very recently, but it was birthed in you 5 years ago. And now you're walking out that moment. And we're going to walk through that as well, because there's so many different things that you are able to do and are doing that have developed this moment that you're walking through right now. So thank you again for all the things that you have done to help our students at Clark Atlanta University. Has been amazing. Scholarshiping for students with an amazing, can I say the number? Yeah, is that okay?
You can say the number, is public record. And
okay, $500,000. Let me just say $500,000.
Well, it was $1 million total.
And $1 million. I'm not talking about that other
you're not talking about the other department.
So in total for Clark Atlanta University, it was $1 million. And my department and my students got to receive $500,000, and we'll be benefiting from that. There's so much to unpack here, but I just want to thank you for staying with me, because we're going to talk about Purpose Well and how you can walk it out. Back in a moment.